Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors and staff, I'd like to thank you for coming this morning. I would also like to thank Governor Hobbs for allowing us to host this special address for the citizens of Yuma County. At this time, I would like to introduce City of Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols, who will provide this morning's invocation. Would everyone please stand?
Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather this morning as the greater Yuma community to recognize your blessings and protections for the people of the state of Arizona. We implore your continued graces as we look forward to the future. May everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your saving help. Let all our work always find origin in you and through you reach completion. We ask for your divine guidance to be bestowed upon Governor Hobbs and all our elected leaders as they serve your people. We seek your protection for the men and women who have committed themselves to protecting this community, state, and country in our police departments, fire departments, sheriff department, federal agencies, and all branches of the U.S. military and all other first responders. We implore your blessings on the sick, the hungry, the homeless, the lonely, and the vulnerable, that you may heal their lives through your touch. We thank you for this food we share today and for those who have worked tirelessly to provide it from the field to the table. We ask all this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor Nichols. Now, if you would please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Territorial Young Marines. Please join Colonel Nelson as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Ms. Elliott Taylor, who will be singing the national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
Thank you, Territorial Young Marines, Colonel Nelson, and Ms. Taylor. It is now my pleasure to introduce the many elected officials who have joined us this morning. First of all, of course, we have our guest of honor, Governor Katie Hobbs. Chairman of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, Martin Porchas. Yuma County Supervisor, Lynn Pancrazi. Yuma County Treasurer, Angela Pancrazi Moreno. City of Yuma Mayor, Doug Nichols. City of Yuma Vice Mayor, Chris Morris. City Council Member, Gary Knight. City Council Member, Art Morales. City Council Member, Carol Smith. City of San Luis, Vice Mayor, Luis Cabrera. City Council Member of San Luis, Matias Rosales. The Mayor of the City of Somerton, Gerardo Anaya. City of Somerton Council Member Juan Castillo. Town of Welton Council Member Sylvia Davidson. And Town of Welton Council Member Michelle Jones. I'm giving one last sweep of the room, making sure I didn't miss anybody. I did County Treasurer. Yep, that's okay. You know what? It's really easy when we have this many dignitaries. City of Somerton. Sorry, Lorena Delgadillo. She's stuck in at the Regional Center for Border Health table. Sorry. Thank you so much for making sure I knew she was in the room. Thank you. Welcome. This morning, I also have the pleasure of introducing two new people to our community, although one is returning. First of all, I would like to introduce the commanding officer of the Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, Colonel Jared Stone. In addition, I'd like to reintroduce the person who did the Pledge of Allegiance for us this morning. Thank you very much. Commanding Officer of the Yuma Proving Ground, Colonel Jonathan Nelson. And on behalf of the Yuma business community, I welcome both of you to Yuma. I would also like to recognize the current Chamber Board of Directors. Chair Lori Arney. Incoming Chair Regina Toomey. Secretary Treasurer Juan Guzman. Past Chair Chris Wheeler. And Directors Alex Bejarano, Marcus Carney, Corey Dieter, Buna George, Jeff Johnson, Colleen Lowndes, Yvonne Peach, and Amber Thornton. We will now pause the program in order for the main entrees to be served. Enjoy your lunch. Razzie to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I love all these tables. I am excited to introduce our next speaker, Governor Katie Hobbs. Governor Hobbs has dedicated her life to listening to her community and helping solve difficult challenges for the people of Arizona. An Arizona native, she put herself through college at Northern Arizona University and graduate school at Arizona State University with a combination of work, study, and scholarships. In the legislature, she worked across the aisle to expand health care and to clear the state's rape kit backlog, putting sexual assault offenders in jail. When Governor Hobbs became Secretary of State, she modernized the office, fixed broken systems, battled misinformation, and navigated a pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Governor Katie Hobbs to the stage.
Supervisor Pancrazzi didn't mention that I only did such great work in the legislature because I had her as a mentor. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, business leaders, and distinguished elected officials. It is great to be here with you all in Yuma. It's been just State of the State address initially, and a lot has happened since then, so I'm really excited to share with all of you. Since taking office in January, I have made it a priority to be present and engaged in our rural communities. And as I've met with leaders across the state, including here in Yuma, I've made it clear that I'm a governor for all Arizonans and not just Maricopa County. I've set out to build an Arizona for everyone. We want an Arizona where a farmer in Yuma has the same access to health care as a CEO in Phoenix, where a student in San Luis has the same quality education as their counterpart in Mesa. We want an Arizona where everyone, no matter where they live or what they do, has the same opportunity to participate in our thriving economy and build a better life. This starts with access to quality education, and we have already accomplished so much to move the needle forward on this issue. In May, I signed a bipartisan budget that passed with a supermajority of votes in both chambers of the legislature. We invested over $600 million in K-12 public education, with a focus not just on Maricopa County, but on schools across the state. As part of the bipartisan budget, public schools will receive an additional $300 million in funding this year for employee stipends, capital projects, professional development, IT modernization, and more. Another $368 million will support building renewal, maintenance, and new school construction. Another important part of that budget was getting the aggregate expenditure limit for next year suspended now, which will provide certainty for schools, parents, and students so that they can focus on education. One of the biggest challenges hitting our rural schools the hardest is teacher retention. That's why one of the first things I did when I took office was establish the Educator Retention Task Force. The task force is made up of a diverse representative group of educators and administrators from all over the state, including Luisa Ariola, a language arts teacher at San Luis Middle School, and a school board member at the Somerton School District. This task force has been hard at work preparing to launch a comprehensive survey to educators in July, as well as meeting with educators and policy experts across the state to identify solutions. The reality is that we don't have an educator shortage. We have a retention crisis. I look forward to reviewing the task force's recommendations later this year and fighting for solutions to keep our educators in the classroom. This is important work and will help us shape our goals over the next few years. As we work to improve the quality of education for our rural students, we need to make sure that they have access to higher education once they've graduated. Whether it's attending a university, a community college, or a technical school, we are working to make sure every student has the tools they need to succeed after high school. Recently, I announced an investment of $3.6 million to Arizona Western College as part of the Future 48 Workforce Accelerator program led by the Arizona Commerce Authority. This program will partner with local schools to provide workforce training in electrical technology, advanced manufacturing, broadband fiber optics, and solar installation in support of the region's aerospace and defense industries. This work is being done in collaboration with industry partners, including the U.S. Army Proving Ground and Yuma Electric. The best way to change someone's life is to offer them the opportunity for a new or better job. And this program will ensure that every Arizonan has the chance to participate in our thriving economy. This year's budget provided much needed funding for rural public schools. I'm proud that our bipartisan budget secured $15 million for Arizona Western College. Our community colleges are part of the critical pipeline that helps build a stronger Arizona, and this funding will allow AWC to expand and develop its workforce programs. I've kept my promise to work across the aisle and sign legislation that addresses real issues Arizonans are facing. I recently signed Senate Bill 1400 into law, allowing community colleges to count learners in no-credit training programs towards their full-time student enrollment. This recognizes the important role that our community colleges play in providing workforce training and education. I'm also proud to share that the newest student member of the Board of Regents is from Yuma. David Zaragoza is currently an engineering student at ASU. He graduated from Gila Ridge High School and was a tutor at Western Arizona College. He demonstrates passion and dedication to helping more rural and Latino students like himself access higher education. We need to be investing in education at every level, and that includes early childhood education. We know the benefits that getting a head start can have on a child's development, both intellectually and socially. The First Things First Yuma Regional Council, led by Chair Mia Sanchez and Regional Director Rudy Ortiz, is doing the important work of giving families the opportunity to access early childhood education. By increasing the quality of early childhood education and providing financial support to families who cannot afford these programs on their own, they're able to bridge the gap for so many families. Thank you for ensuring that any family who wants their child to receive an early education can do so. Another issue that I hear from Arizonans, but especially in rural communities like Yuma, is that all of these services and programs are hard to access without reliable internet. In line with creating an Arizona for everyone, my administration is committed to expanding broadband access and connecting communities all over the state. Last week, I announced that Arizona will receive nearly $1 billion to build out broadband infrastructure. My mission is to bridge Arizona's deep digital divide with this historic investment, connecting all unserved and underserved Arizonans, especially in our tribal and rural communities. I'm committed to distributing these funds both equitably and effectively. That's why in this year's budget, I fought to include $23.6 million for the creation of the Rural Broadband Accelerated Match Fund in anticipation of this federal award. This will help leverage federal dollars, which is a barrier I've heard from communities across the state. While the federal investment is forthcoming and we're deep in planning stages, the state is already investing in our broadband network. We're currently finalizing 2 major projects, each enabled by $10 million in state investments. We're partnering with Yuma County on a $35 million project to build a middle mile network that will enable last mile fiber service to the cities of Yuma, San Luis, Fortuna Foothills, Somerton, and Welton, bringing high-speed broadband to 175,000 residents and 10,000 businesses. In Yuma, broadband technology is leading to water innovation. We recently accepted a proposal from Yuma County to move forward with a $6 million grant for wireless network expansion to further the smart, cutting-edge agricultural practices and water use efficiency that takes place here in the Yuma area, creating significant water savings for crops that feed the rest of the country. And speaking of water and agriculture, I want to thank everyone for Yuma's tremendous contribution to the food supply and food security, both for Arizona and the entire country. This success is not possible without a strong leader at the helm, which is why I was proud to nominate Yuma native Paul Brierly to lead the Department of Agriculture. As my team and I searched the state for the next leader of one of the most important agencies in the state, it only made sense that we look to Yuma, a place so central to Arizona agriculture. Most recently, Director Brierly led the University of Arizona's Yuma Center of Excellence for Desert Agriculture. He is perfectly suited to guide Arizona agriculture to even greater heights as we navigate a more water-constrained future. I recognize that Yuma is a unique agricultural area that has developed infrastructure and farming practices to make it one of the most efficient and highly productive agricultural areas in the Colorado River Basin. The fact that 90% of vegetables in the United States between October and April come from Yuma is a testament to the progressive agribusiness practices here. We all know that Yuma's past success and future viability is dependent upon reliable water supplies from the Colorado River. Earlier this year, in partnership with the states of California and Nevada, I announced a historic proposal to stabilize the Colorado River, an agreement to conserve 3 million acre-feet of water in Lake Mead over the next 3 years to forestall declines in our reservoirs. Without this partnership, the federal government would have forced drastic cuts to Arizona's water use. Instead, we successfully negotiated voluntary conservation efforts, allowing states, cities, and farmers to have a say in their water future. This 3-state proposal has bought us time and security in the short term for our Colorado River supplies. However, long-term risks to the Colorado River and Arizona's allocation are still very real. All water users in the Colorado River Basin must band together and step up to address those risks and contribute to actions that will ensure the river will meet all our needs. I'm committed to protecting Arizona's Colorado River supplies in the short term and the long term as the post-2026 operating guidelines for the management of the Colorado River are developed and adopted. I will use my seat at the table to put Arizonans first, just as we did in our recent negotiations. And Arizona's Assured Water Supply Program puts us in a unique position to continue growth and development throughout the state. But we need to make sure that growth is affordable and accessible for middle-class and lower-income households. I've made housing affordability central to my administration. As the first social worker to ever be elected governor in the United States, I know just how crucial stable housing can be to physical, emotional, and economic well-being. That's why in my first week in office, I issued an executive order to reestablish the governor's Interagency and Community Council on Homelessness and Housing, which consists of a broad set of experts and practitioners from across the state who will develop and implement a plan to address the significant housing challenges that Arizonans are facing. When assembling this council, which convened for the first time last month, my team knew that Yuma should be specially represented. And that's why I'm thrilled that Mayor Doug Nichols will be serving on this council, offering important perspective and insight on the specific issues this region's facing. My administration is also taking unprecedented action to bring more affordable housing units online across the state. Last month, the Arizona Department of Housing allocated the maximum possible amount of low-income housing tax credits. Of the 1,000 plus units that will come online, 180 of those will be here in Yuma, between the Catalina Square and Vistara developments. But we're not stopping there. This year, I fought for the most significant investments in housing in our state's history, over $230 million, including special resources for veterans, seniors, and those reentering from incarceration. So long as housing and homelessness remains an ongoing challenge for residents here in Yuma and across the state, I will continue to advocate for the resources needed to build an affordable Arizona. Adding to the strain on the Yuma community are the challenges and shortcomings on the southern border. When I took office, I made it a priority to meet with local law enforcement and Border Patrol in the Yuma sector to hear directly from them about the challenges they face and how the state can help. After these conversations, it was clear that tailored support was needed. Using money from the Border Security Fund, we have delivered approximately $30 million for the cities of Somerton, Yuma, Welton, and the Cocopah Indian Tribe. This funding will allow these cities to invest in meaningful technological support and ensure that they have the tools they need to effectively manage the border. I've also made state and local partnerships central to addressing border challenges. When Title 42 expired, my office worked closely with Mayor Nichols and the Yuma County Sheriff's Office to ensure that they had what they needed to support these communities. Together, we successfully prevented thousands of street releases from taking place. We know that while the border poses challenges, it also provides opportunity. Cross-border commerce is critical to the economic development of Yuma and the entire state. I recently had the pleasure of hosting Mexico's Secretary of Tourism, Secretary Taruco, as well as Sonoran Governor Durazo, where we recommitted our efforts to expanding tourism between Arizona and Sonora across the mega region. My administration is working hard to ensure that we fully leverage this partnership as a single asset and work closely with our partners south of the border because their success is our success. We also just celebrated the groundbreaking of the San Luis Port of Entry expansion, where we highlighted the relationship between southern Arizona and Mexico. This project will expand the capacity and capabilities of the Port of Entry, allowing Border Patrol to better carry out their mission while promoting trade and business in Yuma County. I will continue to take this holistic approach that removes politicization of the border and replaces it with real, effective solutions for everyone. And I'm also pleased to announce today that the state will be providing much needed relief to local agencies and nonprofits that provide services to thousands of crime victims in Arizona. We will be funding a one-time allocation to address the Victims of Crime Act shortfall and allow for the continuation of essential resources such as shelter, legal services, and housing. This money will go to organizations like Amberley's Place here in Yuma, and I'm glad we're able to deliver that relief for vulnerable Arizonans. In the 4 times that I've traveled to Yuma since taking office, I've been inspired by the leadership and innovation that happens here. For too long, counties like Yuma have gone without proper support, but have still managed to provide for their residents and the state. Whether you're a farmer putting food on the table for millions of Americans, a small business owner providing residents with reliable services, an educator making sure every student in your classroom succeeds, or a law enforcement officer serving your community, the passion here is profound. It is clear to me that with meaningful, consistent investments, Yuma will thrive for generations to come. And I'm here today to express my commitment to each of you. Together, I am confident that we can move the state forward and build an Arizona for everyone. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the citizens of Yuma County, I'd like to thank Governor Hobbs for her service to the citizens of the great state of Arizona. We appreciate the many times you have already visited Yuma County in your tenure and all you are doing to address the issues affecting us. This does conclude today's program. Thank you all for coming. At this time, we ask that you either remain near your table or exit directly through the rear doors and down the hallway to leave the front hallway cleared for prearranged meetings. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and thank you all for coming. And one last thing, if I could get the board of directors please to head to the other room. Thank you.